This is the video portion of the Only Fans Football Podcast. This week we are previewing Liverpool's trip to Old Trafford Monday evening.
A relegation battle.
Well, to an extent. 8 o'clock kickoff. Liverpool, as we said, travel to Manchester United. A Manchester United side in turmoil at the minute, as we spoke about on the podcast this week, which we do advise anyone looking to seek us out on Spotify and do join us. Kieran?
Yeah. I would describe this game as two teams in turmoil. With two bad starts to the season. The likes of Núñez being suspended, I think, will have a lot to do with Liverpool's success in this game, as I think Núñez is Liverpool's best player at the moment.
Kieran is, of course, trolling anyone who hasn't listened to the podcast. I think for Liverpool's standards, it's a very poor start. 2 draws in games which really they didn't look like they started well in. I think you look at the Community Shield as well, the intensity in that game, and to have played the way they did against Man City, for the levels to drop the way they have against Palace and Fulham isn't good enough, to be honest. We'll look at the past results because that's what we done last week for the preview. Obviously, Manchester United's 2 results this season in the league have been a 4-0 loss away to Brentford and a 2-1 home loss as well to Brighton in Old Trafford. 2 games in which they were very poor in, Cran, especially the Brentford game. We discussed at length.
Yeah, and like stuff from a United standpoint, stuff has been coming out in the last 24 hours, 48 hours. I was researching a bit at late hours in the morning because, you know, I have a miserable life. But yeah, I've just seen like Ten Hag had United out running on Sunday for a start. So straight after the game, he had them running on the next Sunday, and I can't imagine that going down too well after a game. No day off, and Man United fans are planning to empty Old Trafford next Monday. The Man United Supporters Trust coming out and saying a fish rots from the head, and they want action from the owners, which I think is very interesting. And just I was reading some stuff about Jose Mourinho back in the day when he was Man United manager. He said Pogba is a virus, Martial is lazy, Rashford can't be Man United's main striker, and Luke Shaw doesn't use his head. And all that stuff has turned out to be true in the end. Yeah. Who would have thought?
I think Jose said as well that his biggest achievement in football was getting this United team to finish second. And it's the same players, it's the same nucleus, it's the same problem. Touched on Liverpool's first 2 games, Kieran, real quick, as we said, discussed at length on the podcast. 1-0 versus Palace at home and 2-0 versus Fulham away. I think a problem for Liverpool so far this season is, I think looking at the defence first of all, which is usually a strength of Liverpool's, they look really vulnerable. I thought Mitrovic had a field day against Van Dijk, which is completely abnormal for Virgil. And we've seen the pace of Nat Phillips exploited. So it's going to be a weird one. I do think Joe Gomez probably slots back in. Maybe Matip if he's fit.
He looked better than Phillips when he came on, I thought.
Yeah,
Joe Gomez.
To be honest, look at Joe Gomez is a very accomplished player. He's a very good player. When he's fit and he's ready to go, he's really good. Last game Liverpool played against Manchester United was 4-0 to Liverpool in Anfield. At Old Trafford, Kieran, it was Manchester United 0, Liverpool 5. The season previous to that, obviously COVID ball, which we all remember unfondly. Liverpool 4-2 away at Old Trafford in a nice green kit, which might be kit of the week at one stage for people who are listening, and 0-0 at Anfield. So essentially 3 of the four last games Liverpool have won, scoring 4 goals or more against United. I'm not sure how Monday's game's gonna pan out. We will throw out a prediction now, Kieran. I fancy Liverpool to win. Naturally enough, we should be beating United, given the current state of Man United. At Old Trafford, Liverpool they haven't been great so far, but I still think they have too much quality for United, and I think should United give the space to Liverpool that they gave to Brentford, Liverpool will score goals. So I'm gonna go with a 2-0 win to Liverpool. Kieran, your prediction?
2-0 win. Yeah, it's kind of a rough one because Liverpool have started a bit weirdly. If Liverpool started well, I'd be like, oh, no doubt Liverpool are going to smash United up. But this one has a weird feel to it. I just wonder whether United will show up in this game.
I have a feeling they will.
I think they might, and there might be a bit of a reaction But listen, I think the realistic thing is that Liverpool are going to win this game. I think if you go for anything else, it'll be ludicrous. So I'll probably go for something tight, but I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Liverpool away from home at Old Trafford.
We asked, of course, Kieran, last week we had our favourite Chelsea Spurs moments. Have you got any favourite Liverpool Man United moments before I get into it?
I'd say probably the Torres days and those battles against Vidic and Ferdinand. I think those were probably the days I remember fondly of Liverpool Man United, because it was a very competitive game back then. And I just remember Man United being the more well-rounded team back then, and how the tables have turned now. But I'd probably go for one of those classic games back in 2009, 2010.
We have a few Liverpool fans obviously in our inbox on Instagram, but we have a lot of United fans as well, so we'll get the United fans out of the way first. Ben Casey says Wanfield. I don't know if you remember that one. Gerrard comes on, gets sent off, and Mata scores a bicycle kick. It was lovely. It was a lovely call by Mata that day. We have Kane Mulvey who says relegation battle, which I don't know about that, Joe. And then he says Makeda. Now Makeda scored against Aston Villa, but he didn't score against Liverpool. So Kane, you might have your shout wrong there, but that's okay. We still love you on the OnlyFans Football Podcast. We have Rory who says 4-0 to Liverpool, which I think could be a valid prediction. We actually have a few people saying, a few United fans saying 10-0 to Liverpool, which that won't happen.
Are you sure?
I don't think that'll happen. Philly says Rashford sending Trent Alexander-Arnold back to school. Yeah, that's fair enough. I think Rashford's probably been in the same school ever since. But yeah, that was a good moment, I suppose. Gary says Wanfield as well. He says the Martial debut goal. I don't know if you remember Martin Tyler. He really enjoyed that one. Berbatov overhead kick. I don't remember that one. That was 3-1 to United in Old Trafford that time. And Berbatov got a hat-trick in that game. Craig says he thinks Man United are going to win 3-2. And Nat Phillips' own goal in the COVID season is his favourite moment. In a game that United lost, he enjoyed Nat Phillips' own goal. Who else? We have, of course, Dave saying, Dave put a lot of memories in, which I enjoy. He says Dossana 4-0, which was that's the days you were talking about, Torres, Rinson, Village. Ngog got a last minute winner or to cement game. I think, yeah, that's one of my favourite moments, David Ngog. Yeah, he has Liverpool getting 3 penalties at Old Trafford. I don't know if you remember that one. I think we won the game 3-0 and Gerrard got 3 penalties. I think we might have won 4-0 actually. As far as I think was on the score sheet that day. And Dave says I take a 1-0, just need the 3 points and a clean sheet, which is, it's fair enough. I don't think Liverpool are in arrears here. I don't think we're in that bad of a position, to be honest.
No.
But my favourite Liverpool Manchester United moment, Kieran, comes from last season. Naturally enough, Liverpool 5, Manchester United 0 at Old Trafford. I don't think I ever thought I'd see the likes of that ever. Salah banging in a hat-trick that day as well. And it was the first night, personally, it was the first night the nightclubs in Ireland had opened up again. So naturally enough, it was the bank holiday weekend. We all went on the session after Liverpool won, and I woke up on Monday morning with COVID. So that's a nice moment for me.
Well deserved.
Salah hat-trick and Adzi getting COVID is my moment of is my favourite Manchester United Liverpool moment.
That's proper 2021.
Proper 2021. That includes our Liverpool and Manchester United preview video podcast edition of our podcast, episode number 5, the Ned Schneebly. For anyone who's listening, do tune in on Spotify.
Do we tune in?
And yeah, let's send it back to the lads and get it out.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Please subscribe. Please like the video
that's
below. We'd really appreciate it if you stuck around. So yeah, join us on Spotify for the rest of this episode. There's some tasty stuff in there that you might enjoy. We'll leave it there, so.